Let's talk Yellowjackets season 3, episode 8. What the hell is about to happen here? So, the last episode, I think, definitely got us in the mindset that anything can happen in Yellowjackets. And let's read what this next episode's about. Before we get started, hit the subscribe and notification bell. We've been talking Yellowjackets since it came out years ago, and we're going to continue to do so. Whether this is the last season, which I don't know, I'll talk about that in a bit, why I think this could be the last season, or if the next one or number 5 is the last season. Whatever it is, we're still going to continue to talk about Yellowjackets. But let's talk about season 3, episode 8, A Normal Boring Life. So this is what the synopsis reads on IMDb. With a possible escape from their nightmare, the Yellowjackets learn not everyone may be in a rush to leave. In the present, the unexpected return of an old teammate sends Shauna spiraling in ways that should probably concern everyone. So that's definitely getting me into conspiracy land about what could be going on here, right? And let's talk about it, because we've been talking about this ever since that first trailer came out, ever since Hillary Swank got announced as a cast member. I believe Hillary Swank is a Yellowjacket, and the Yellowjacket I believe Hillary Swank is none other than Melissa. She's been very prominent this season. She's been showing up a lot in the teenage years. I just feel like they wanted to set her up into the adult years as well. And of course, what the synopsis reads at the beginning, the escape of the nightmare, we learn that some may not be in a rush to leave. I think for sure Lottie is one of them. We saw that Lottie was one of the main people that sort of like hindered their escape plan with the frog scientists we met up in the last episode with. And I think Lottie's going to be one that feels like, hey, this isn't our salvation and it should be in another way. And I think she's going to try to use the Aquila visions and things like that for her to say, we have to find out if this is the correct way or not. And I think that's really going to upset many of the Yellowjackets. But I also think some of them might be like, I think Lottie's kind of crazy and losing it. I don't want to listen to her anymore. And I think that's what's going to cause the divide we're going to see in the last couple of episodes with the Yellowjackets. Now, let's go back to the present time with the old teammate returning, because many were thinking in the last episode Hillary Swank could in fact be Alex, the daughter of the frog scientist Hannah, which she talks to through the tape. And that's because many were thinking, well, who else would send this tape to Shauna, right? Why else would they be wanting to get retribution? Like, whoever is sending this tape is somebody who has a deep sort of like hate towards what maybe Shauna and the Yellowjackets did out there, and it has to be centered around what happened to Hannah, I feel, because the tape of course is about Hannah and her final moments with her team and all that. So this is somebody who really feels a sense of, I have to do the right thing now, or I'm trying to get revenge, basically, as well. Either or of those, or both at the same time. You never know. People are complicated, right? But I do feel that it's not the daughter Alex. I feel like this is somebody else who is sort of guiding her, and I think that is Melissa, who sent this tape. And maybe they sort of felt some way about what the Yellowjackets did to Hannah, because she sort of got close to her, and now she's close to Alex because she sort of felt in her mind she needed to do this for Hannah. But of course, Melissa is dead, many people think. So a lot of people were thinking that Melissa was dead, and that's because we heard during the car ride when they're going to Virginia to try and confront Alex, because in the last episode we saw Shauna started to dig into this possible scenario of who could have sent this tape, because they realized the tape is from the frog scientist, because Hannah had been recording when they went to meet the Yellowjackets back in the past, and of course all of that recording was in there, including Lottie killing the man. Also do find out in fact that Hannah has a child whose name is Alex, because she talks to the child in this tape and says if anything happens to her to always remember that Hannah loves her. And we see that Shauna's feeling some type of way about this, and as also the Yellowjackets, Ty, Van, and Misty, who didn't know Hannah had a child and also didn't even know this tape existed, so they wonder how this tape would have even come across anybody. And that's a big question I do have for the next episodes, because the tape was hidden in some rocks. Now, what they do mention, however, is that Jen and Melissa did get close to Hannah during the time she was with the Yellowjackets, and that makes you wonder if any of them could have had the tape. But it's quickly dismissed when they said, well, Jen and Melissa are dead, so how could it be them? And I don't know. I still think that Melissa's still alive in some way, because there's not a confirmation going here that yes, Melissa is in fact dead. It's just sort of thrown in there. And here's my thoughts. But before we get into it, let's talk more about the past and what could possibly be happening. So, like I said, Lottie is definitely unhinged at this point. We saw her bash the skull of the male scientist. Didn't have a clue. The last vision he has is some girls hooting and hollering and a dead coach's head on the side right there. That's all he knows, and then he got bashed. And Lottie was just like digging in his brain, grabbing his blood and all of that, and just going like feral over it for some reason. And she says that she doesn't think that they should trust these people. And of course, we see that a lot of them are starting to sort of be like, you know what, Lottie, I don't know what the hell you're thinking. And Jen and also Mari are just like, yeah, this girl is out of it, because while they're trying to help Melissa out, who just got an arrow struck through her because Kodiak had shot that arrow at her after they attacked Edwin, we see that they are just like, she's not a help at all. She's just covering herself in blood and she's losing it. So I think in the past we're going to see a very big shift in dynamics here. In the previous episodes, we had seen Natalie was in charge. Then we saw Shauna was put in charge by Lottie. And now Lottie seemingly wants to come back in charge. And I think that's where we're going to see all of these divides happen. In the new trailer, I think that they're going to be trying to figure out what to do with Hannah. We saw that Shauna wanted to eliminate Hannah right then and there. And it was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You need to chill. This is our only way out. We see that Van and Ty are thinking, we have to get out of here. We can't keep going. So the Yellowjackets have a couple more months before they're ultimately rescued, which I don't think it's going to be by Hannah. Of course, Hannah does have an obituary and all of that. I do wonder what happens with Kodiak as well. And I'll talk about that in a bit, because we also see a glimpse of that in the trailer. But we see that Shauna in the trailer tells Natalie, you're not in charge anymore, if you don't remember, basically. And I think that Natalie is trying to spare Hannah. I think that Shauna wants to eliminate Hannah. She does have a very wicked smile when Lottie attacks Edwin, and I'm just not sure what Shauna even wants to do, right? And I think a lot of the girls who might side with staying just like to have the empowerment they feel they have out here in these new rules that are away from the laws that we have today, right? Like they want this sort of feeling of being free in a sense, right? Like they're their own government of sorts, and that could be a whole thing, and they might really be buying into the mystic side of things that Lottie has been feeding them for months now. So we're definitely going to see a divide here. I don't know if it's going to be a three-way divide or maybe two divide. Maybe some go more with Natalie being a bit more rational with things, and others are more with Shauna and maybe Lottie. I feel like Shauna and Lottie are going to have a whole thing together there. But I don't think Hannah, of course, survives. As we know, she does have an obituary. But I'm curious how that eventually does happen, this death for Hannah, because I just don't see how they would even choose what to do with Hannah at this point. And let's talk about Kodiak real quick. So Kodiak, we saw, was saved by Travis and Aquila. Misty was with him as well at a certain point, but then she dropped her glasses and she sort of got lost. But we do see her appear again later on in the trailer. But we do have a glimpse of Travis, Aquila, and Kodiak walking through the woods and then being surrounded by the Yellowjackets. At the end of the last episode, we heard Travis say, can you save us and rescue us and take us home, basically. And I think we're going to see a situation where Aquila, Travis, and Kodiak are trying to get out of the wilderness and into civilization, and then they're surrounded by the Yellowjackets, who are like, oh, what are you doing, you know? And I think that's going to really be a big thing that's going to push the other Yellowjackets to be like, I don't know who we can trust anymore. So I think Travis is completely done with it. He's been done since this season when Lottie was trying to push him more to have these visions and all of that. And I think that we are seeing some very drastic changes happening to the dynamics of the teenage years, where I think we definitely see Shauna be a bit more aggressive in there. And I think it's going to really start to bubble and foam up into something that nobody can control anymore. Like something's going to give here, and I'm just curious what that's going to be. A lot of the girls don't survive, and we have a couple of months left before the rescue comes for them. So that's going to be, I think, a big thing about the next couple of seasons is a maybe like battle between the girls and seeing who's dominant. And that's what leads to a lot of casualties. That's my biggest like theory going forward into what's happening in the teenage years. I think a big rift is coming by the end of the season, and that's going to equal a ton more violence between the girls. And how they handle things out here. Now, in the present timeline, we will see Shauna go to Virginia and she will meet up with Hillary Swank's character. So somebody pointed out to me that Alex is already cast apparently, and that the actress isn't Hillary Swank. So they're saying that Hillary Swank isn't playing Alex. And I just never bought that was going to be Alex. It just didn't make sense with the ages and things like that, right? If you go to look at Hillary Swank in the IMDb, she doesn't have a character she's playing, right? And that's a big thing right there, is who is she playing? So I really do still believe Hillary Swank is playing Melissa. And I think that the whole clues that they're dropping, that Melissa got close to Hannah with Jen and all of that, could very well mean this. So this is a big theory that I have right now, and it could possibly be real and it could possibly be fake, and I'll be debunked and I'll just be like, oh man, back to the drawing board. But here's my big theory for the next couple of episodes. I think we see Melissa sort of find a soft spot for Hannah, right? She sort of starts to feel for her and the situation that she's in right now, and she gets close to her, and this leads her to find out more about Hannah with Jen. They realize that she has a daughter, she has a whole life out there, and they really are bonding with her. And I think this is what's going to cause a sort of like break between the relationship Melissa and Shauna have, because I think Shauna is not going to really care or listen about any of this. And I think that she is going to go ahead and order for Hannah to be killed in some possible scenario. And that's really what breaks apart the relationship that Shauna and Melissa had throughout this whole time. And I think Melissa really starts to develop a sort of hatred towards Shauna. So in the present time, I think that who Shauna is going to meet is going to be Melissa, who may very well now be taking care of Alex, the daughter of Hannah, because she feels some type of way about what happened to Hannah in the past. And I feel now that after all this time, maybe Melissa feels some type of way about Shauna, and that's why she's been blackmailing her and all of that. But the biggest question I think we still all have is, why all of this time that has passed now would Melissa or whoever is choosing to torment the Yellowjackets would do so? And it's just a question I don't think we'll get the answer to pretty soon, but it really is starting to come to an end. It feels everything around here, like the stories are wrapping up, because we do have 2 more episodes that are apparently titled How the Story Ends and Full Circle. So that makes me wonder, is this really going to be the end of Yellowjackets? And we'll discuss that, because I haven't heard anything about a season 4 just yet, or a season 5. In season 2, we did hear that apparently the goal was to go to 5 seasons. So I'm just curious about what they're doing there. But let me know your thoughts and your theories on the next episode. We'll discuss it as soon as it comes out this Friday and talk all about it. But there's a lot of things that I'm very curious of what's going to happen. Let me know what you think is going to be the situation in the past with Hannah. What do you think is going to be the way they handle it? Do you think there's going to be a rift between the girls in the way that they want to sort of take in Hannah? Does she become a Yellowjacket? Does she become the Antler Queen? We'll have a video on Antler Queen and Pit Girl this week as well on Wednesday, right before the episode comes out, because all of this has me thinking a little bit more about that. But what do you think about the present timeline? Do you think Hillary Swank is indeed Melissa, and she went and took care of Hannah's daughter Alex after everything that happens, because in the past they sort of bond together over time? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on it. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We're talking Yellowjackets. We still got about 3 more episodes before the finale, so we're very excited to talk more about it as we get closer to it. And don't miss out on any of our videos. Check out our other social medias. I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.